welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 NFL Draft Special for the New York Jets. We're going to take a look at every last draft selection the Jets made, and we're going to give them draft grades, as well as look at some undrafted free agents that you want to keep an eye on. The Jets are one of the few teams, in my opinion, in the National Football League that has a lot of holes, especially on the offensive side of the football. Now, when you look at their draft, they were able to fill a lot of needs on the defensive side, so you can't really knock what they were able to do. Some solid players throughout the course of this draft. William Campbell is a guy that I think is a better 5 technique than he is a guard, and I haven't even seen him play guard yet, so we'll see how that works out for them, but I think he's a fine player, dominated at the East-West Shrine game all week long. And getting tackle Oday Aboushi in the 5th round is something that they sorely needed. Here's a guy that can play left, he can play right, maybe even can kick down the guard, but he does give them that versatility on their offensive line. Now, what I like most about the Jets draft, getting D. Milner out of Alabama. Here's a guy in my cornerback rankings video. I compared his style to Darrelle Revis. He's physical at the point of attack, very good technique, and can run with wide receivers. So when you look at his game in totality, you have to like what you see. He fits what they want to do defensively. This is an excellent selection by the Jets. Also, Sheldon Richardson. Here's a guy that can play football no matter what position it is. You can get creative in your defensive front and find ways to put him in position to be successful, and I think that's why they took him. Some say he's maybe a 3 technique. I feel that way. He's a better 3 technique, but you can't ignore the plays this guy made for Missouri at the highest level in the SEC. So you look at him and envision him as a guy that could rotate as a 4-3 defensive end in certain sub packages, or even as that 5 technique in beating that guard one-on-one, down in, down out. And I really like the Geno Smith selection, I got to be honest. This guy is clearly the #1 quarterback in this draft. Forget what all the naysayers saying. The Jets got themselves a steal in round 2. When you look at his attributes, this guy can definitely make all of the throws. People question whether or not he can play in bad weather, like West Virginia is located in the South. This guy played in bad weather throughout the course of his career, has the game time experience. In big games, he showed up, and this is a guy that doesn't turn the football over via the interception. Now, he does have to protect the football a little bit more as far as fumbles is concerned. That's a product of him trying to hold on to the football a little bit too long. That's the only knock you can have on a Geno Smith, but his intelligence is there, his athleticism is there, and his football skill set is definitely where you want it to be. And don't sleep on the Brian Winter selection out of Kent State. He's an athletic guard. In my opinion, maybe the best one out of the 3 guys they drafted in this year's draft. Instantly upgrades their offensive line. They had problems last year protecting Sanchez and also opening holes for the running game. Winters is a guy that can do both. I love that selection for the Jets. Now, what I didn't like about the Jets draft, I felt as though new GM John Izek didn't address a real issue with the offense, and that's the lack of playmakers on the flanks. They have to get better at the receiver position, at the tight end position, and quite honestly, at the running back position. I know they bring over Chris Ivory, but he's a guy that hasn't proven to be healthy throughout the course of a 16-game season, so they need to upgrade at running back, wide receiver, and tight end more so than quarterback, in my opinion. Now, here are some undrafted free agents that could surprise and make the Jets roster. You look at Rontez Miles out of Cal PA. Here's a guy that's a free safety, but hits like a strong safety, but still has the ball skills of a free safety. You have to like that about a guy that can be versatile in his approach. And he reminds me a lot of LaRon Landry in his ability to play either closer to the line of scrimmage or even on the back end, and can match up well versus tight end. So I feel as though the Jets got themselves a steal with this guy, and it wouldn't surprise me later on in the season, you may see him starting. I think he has that type of talent from day one. And the Jets were able to get some sound weapons for their quarterbacks. Mike Shanahan is a former wide receiver, so you know the hands are there. He's moving down the tight end, so you can get creative in your offensive attack by flanking him out, matching him one-on-one on some safeties, and he can win those battles. A consistent player that can keep the chains moving. And Ryan Spadola out of Lehigh is another guy that's a consistent chain mover. You don't have to be the big, tall, flashy, speedy wide receiver. You just have to catch the football, and that's what he does very well. Runs excellent routes. I like this addition for the Jets. I think both guys have an excellent chance to make the roster. And Troy Davis out of UCF has a chance to make that transition from defensive end to inside linebacker for the Jets. I do believe he has the athleticism to be that 2-down run stuffer that they want in the middle, can provide some depth on that defense. I have to give the Jets a solid B for their draft. I actually like what they were able to do this past April. You look at their selections, beefed up the offensive line with guys like Brian Winters and company, keep an eye on him as a potential starter, adding defensive stars in Milner and Richardson, and nabbing their quarterback of the future in Geno Smith, also hitting the ball out of the park with some of their undrafted free agents. This draft definitely gets the Jets pointed in the right direction for 2013. And I want to give a huge shout out to Jet fan forums for always showing football game plan support.